Can Bitcoin recover from here, or will sell pressure push price lower? Hey guys, it's Keith Allen, and I got to tell you, I'm pretty happy to be back here. It's been a bumpy couple of weeks. I've been gone for about 2 weeks with very little time to get in here, and I'm glad to say that things have been doing better. Doesn't sound like it from the way I'm talking, man. A little wiped out. Had spent a couple of weeks taking care of a family member in the hospital, and then Thursday night I broke my own rule. I have a rule that I do not go out on holidays like 4th of July and New Year's because, quite frankly, it's amateur night. And I came home from taking care of my family member at the hospital, came home to pick up the rest of my family for a little holiday barbecue. And before I even made it out of the neighborhood, we got T-boned by a drunk driver. So, man, grateful that we are okay at this point. My family member and I both miraculously got out of the hospital at literally like 5 minutes apart. Like, I got my discharge papers and I went up to his room and grabbed him and took him home. So all things considered, feeling very grateful for all the blessings. And just a reminder, man, in life, just like in trading, you got to stick to your rules. And for those of you with family members, we all have a family member, right? Hold them close. Family first, in my opinion. So that's how I roll. I do have a little window of opportunity, so I thought it'd be fun to get on here. And actually, I really haven't had a chance to look at the charts here in a long time. Not with any real time to analyze. So figured we'd climb into this and do it together, right? We'll do it live. And so let's just take a look and see what's going on. I'm gonna look at Bitcoin, of course. I'm gonna look at ETH, and I'm gonna look at LiteCoin. And see if we can just get it kind of an overview, right? We're seeing a bounce here, obviously a nasty correction. The question is this a healthy bounce here? Is this it? Can the market recover from here, or might we see a bit more sell pressure pushing price down? Now, we do know that sell pressure is coming. We have Mt. Gox, obviously, that distribution has already begun. And so there's a lot more to go. Now, historically, when we have these big distribution events from the U.S. government, seize coins and things like that, and the FTX liquidation event, things of that nature, we've often seen big, large blocks of bid liquidity of support holding price up. And we haven't really seen that as of yet. So we're going to look at the liquidity in the order book, of course, try and get a baseline on that. But we're also going to look at the charts, at the candle charts, and see if we can get, some more clues of how things might develop from here. So first, I want to thank you guys for joining me. Thank you, Dipsman. Thanks, Enzo. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, 55, for coming back to join me. I appreciate the support, you guys. Really and truly grateful. So let's start with the candle chart, I guess, and see what's up here, right? We've had, obviously a big pullback here over the past couple of days. And, it sucks, man. I find myself a lot of times where I'm just not available. When I'm not available to, really stare at screens all day is when the market seems to be most volatile. It happens on vacation. Incidentally, those of you who were following along know that I was supposed to go on vacation a couple weeks ago and commented how, that's going to be a good time to buy. Well, I actually had to cork that vacation because of that family member having some issues in the hospital. So needless to say, I really haven't been engaged in the charts a whole lot since then, and we've certainly seen a ton of volatility. So real quick, we'll start here on the candle chart that I've probably shared with you guys the most as of recently. So here you can see we had this pullback into this red zone, this area of interest, which was, in my opinion, critical. This was an area of prior consolidation and prior tops and bottoms around as we headed towards the prior all-time high market, right? So, these two rallies here might have some similarities. We'll see how that plays out. First thing before I do so, I just want to show you that we do have a trend precognition long signal here on the daily chart. And it looks like this is the A2 plus algo. It looks like the A1 algo is heading for a signal here that could trigger here tonight after the daily close. So the fact that we are at the moment have reclaimed this lower low, but we did make a lower low, right? But the fact that we've at least reclaimed this level or moving back into this range is at least positive for the moment. But we're going to see areas of potential resistance here at the 200-day moving average. And then, of course, if we can make it back up to this level, if we can clear 60K, we would see it again at the 21-day moving average. And the weekly time frame, we can see that we had rejection. We had strong resistance here at the 21-week moving average. That was the one that I was concerned about here. And we did indeed lose that. Thought potentially we could reclaim it before last week's weekly close. That obviously didn't happen. And then we saw that flush. Now, the fact that we stopped, where did we bottom out? 53.5. The lower low was at 56.5, and we went to 53.5, which really, to be honest, was not on the radar. We had this prior area of consolidation here. Well, I guess maybe that was toppy on that prior area, right? I was thinking more of the 52. I guess the wicks went up to that level. So it was close, but I'm still not sure I'm convinced that's it. And we're going to look at more things here to see how this all kind of pieces together. But I want to clear out these trend precognition signals to make it a little bit easier to identify. This range here that I was talking about, this red box that we're back in now for the moment. Can we hang in this range and recover? So here, this was the 2021 top here, right? And many technicians believe that this first rally up here at the end of 2021, or at the beginning of 2021, rather, after that 2020 pump, right? From this was COVID crash down here back in 2020. We had this whole bull run here, and things got toppy here around this red box. And so things broke down pretty significantly from there, right? How much was this correction? This was a big one, actually. I think the top there was what, at 64,900, almost 65K. And that was a correction of 55%. And then we had a rally. Then we, had a distribution rally back to the all-time high. But this was a big, that was obviously a big correction, shook a lot of people out, had another big move from there, right? So there's money to be made. Could we get this kind of rally from here? Well, we didn't get quite that deep of a correction. What did we get here at this point? I think we're still sub a 30% correction here from the latest all-time high. Let's see here and I apologize. I'm doing this live, guys. I haven't really had a chance to analyze these charts. 27% from the all-time high at this point. So still, I've been saying for many, many months that a 20, 30, 40% correction was not out of the cards. And well, maybe it still isn't out of the cards. Let's see. So in terms of liquidity, crypto fear and greed, for those who like to follow this is pretty interesting. We're getting into what I consider a truly fearful range here. Not at the lows. We've seen lows that have come down much more than this. So, in that 10, 11% range, will we go that low or not remains to be seen. But this obviously is a major, major change in that index. Bitcoin ETF flows, that's another thing that we've been watching here. And one would think if there was interest in buying at 60K and higher, that we would see interest in buying at this level. We did see some decent inflows on the 5th after that July 4th day off. Is it as much as you would like to see, knowing how much Mt. Gox has left to distribute? That's a big question, right? And how many exchanges is that going to go across? It's not like all 9 billion are coming across one exchange, right? It's going to get distributed because all of those previous holders are, all over the world on different exchanges. So it's not all coming down on one exchange, but, I would expect that we would initially see a big dump here. And obviously, we've seen that already begin, but there's a lot more coin to be distributed. Whether it gets flash dumped or trickled out is what remains to be seen. Paul saying what's concerning is Mt. Gox distribution is just begun. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I'm talking about, Paul. So we just have to see, you have to watch and see how things develop. And the good thing is, the order book is an organic living beast, and we can see things change as they are happening here on Fire Charts 2.0. You can see we do have a block of liquidity here above 50K. This has changed a lot, right? I think I need a refresh. This has been dormant for a while. Liquidity has moved and changed quite a bit over the past month or so. Let's start wide and we'll zoom into the action and see if we can get a feel for how things may be developing at this point. So this is a 3-year history of order book data, and here you can see, and we've mentioned this many times before, price. These brighter areas are the areas of higher volume, higher liquidity, and price tends to first be attracted to those like a moth to a light bulb, but then gets repelled because this is a sign of strength down here, right? So when there is weakness on the other side, price can't penetrate that. So we had long-standing resistance up here for a long time, and you can see how these blocks have dissipated a bit. We had a lot up here above the 70K range. It's still pretty sturdy up there, but a lot of this has been diffused and distributed into the range already. So just the mere fact that there's been some erosion here will ultimately make this passable at some point. But look at what's happening below us, right? We're kind of in a void right here. There's not very much liquidity here in this immediate range. That is a concern. You see it goes lower. It gets stronger in this 52, 53 range. We don't have a lot down here in the 40K range, which was an area of prior consolidation. We've discussed that many, many times, right? This is that 50 to 52K range. This is the here's the 50 to 52K range. Here's the 40 to 45K range. And then, can't take that off the table yet, but here was that move in that 25 to 30 range, which really was the real breakout moment of this existing run. Is this existing run over? Well, it might be. We've have to see if we can recover from here at this point, and that's really what we're watching. But you can see the local trend has been broken. The longer trend is still alive. A bounce from here would, in my opinion, be probably the strongest place that we could jump from. But in terms of health of the actual trend, I want to show you one other chart that I've shared with you guys before. This is like my long-term, long game historical lifetime chart here. Shows areas of significance and prior consolidation ranges, et cetera, tops and bottoms. That trend also is a longer term trend, still intact, but that would take us way down into that 20, potentially into that sub 25K level if things were to go there. Not saying we're going there at this point. Don't tag me as a perma bull. Don't scream at me. I'm just saying that's something to be aware of, considering the weakness that we're seeing at the moment. The near ranges are really what I'm most focused on. But what I wanted to show you here on this chart is I have this level of support on the RSI that I've been watching for many, many years. A guy I used to watch turned me on to this. I'll give him credit for that. His name's Kirby. I watched him in the very beginning, my early stages, kind of trying to learn some technical analysis, and there's this level here at 42 on the RSI that seems to mark bull and bear markets, right? And so we're still above that. We could go retest that. That's conceivable. That we do retest that, and if we do, you can see we've broken that trend already. That's not good, but this would be the last line of defense. If this breaks down, then we might consider this the end of the run, unless there's a quick recovery, right? So that does happen from time to time, as you can see here, and I will show you how this looks compared to compared to the chart, the candle chart, so you can see when we're above this 42 RSI, you can see that's when bullish things happen, and when we break below that 42, as we did right here, that's when bearish things happen, and you can see how it serves as a pretty solid RS flip. This is on the weekly chart, by the way. I only use this for Bitcoin on the weekly, period. So keep that in mind, consider that. But it's just kind of a interesting metric that I watch. And so I will be watching to see if we get down here. If we do, I think that pushes us probably, I actually discussed this with the Trading Parrot a couple weeks ago. I think that pushes us down closer to the 50K range. So that would really be the proving ground, the do or die level, based on this metric. All right. So we obviously use a lot of different things to determine what's going on. We looked at ETF flows. We looked at fear and greed. We discussed Mt. Gox. And of course, liquidity in the order book is really what we are watching the closest at this point. So let's take it into the monthly chart, and you can see that we do have this pocket of bid liquidity down here, but we do have resistance overhead as well, right? So we did see some buying off of this local bottom here, this local support level. And if we zoom in closer, you can see that there has been some buying, but just not a ton of volume here out of that purple whale class. Brown whales distributed through this on their way out. That's not typically when you want to sell. You want to sell when things are going up. And at the moment, it looks like they're trying to pump things up. Can we cross this level? I'm hearing a lot of talk about 60K. We got to get past 58 before we can get 60K. So this is an area of interest to me. If we try and tighten things up, actually, you know what else I want to look at before I go deep on this? I want to look at, I'll get a refresh on that, and we can look at ETH real quick, just in terms of where it's sitting on the candle chart, because ETH also, the whole market shit the bed, right? ETH also has a daily signal on trend precognition. Looks poised to get another long signal on the A1 on the daily after today's close if things continue in this direction. But most importantly, for ETH, we did see a bounce here from this 0.5 fib, which is a macro fib retracement from the all-time high. Let me clear out the trend precognition. And you can see, right, from all-time high territory, we had this macro fib retracement, and obviously a breakout way earlier in the year, and now a retest of that. So you got double bottoms here on this fib retracement, but it did actually extend just a tad bit lower. I don't like seeing these wicks through, to be honest with you. These wicks, to me, feel like weakness. We are seeing a bounce at the moment, but is it enough to hold? Just like Bitcoin, it's going to run into resistance here at the 200-day moving average. It served as resistance on the prior daily candle. Let's see if we can get past it. And if not, then we're going to have to go back and test support again and see if this 0.5 fib can hold. LiteCoin is another one that, I'm not sure I really understand this coin. I'll be honest with you. The network performs really well. But it just does not seem to ever get the legs that a lot of these other coins do. It broke through the trend, and now it's trying to reclaim it. It also is on a fib retracement, and it had resistance, right? It's yet to really have its breakout above that 0.5 fib. So that's a concern for LiteCoin. I hear a lot of people talking about LiteCoin, and that community is that community loves their LTC. I'd like to love it with you, but I need to see some strength, and I need to see more use cases coming out of this coin. But based on just straight analysis here on the daily, we've got to reclaim these prior levels of resistance and support. We're not even in the channel. We got to get back above this trend line before we can even consider going back and trying this breakout attempt. It's looking pretty weak right now, to be honest with you. That's the weekly chart, by the way. Let's see what the daily looks like in terms of these moving averages. See if things get any better. No, I mean you have a death cross here between the 50-day and the 200. That's a classic death cross, and look at what followed. Right, so there's a lot of real estate that Litecoin needs to reclaim on the chart, in my opinion, to get back into this. One level at a time, right? Can we get above this prior level here? Let me see what this was. This was prior support level, right? That was lost. There was an RS. Yeah, this is kind of an RS flip zone here that I had marked on the chart from a long, long time ago, and we've lost that here. So gotta reclaim that first. That's it, like 64.36. Then see if we can reclaim the trend line, and then have a chance to get back to this. Litecoin has a lot of work to do at this point. Let's just call it what it is. But like Bitcoin and ETH, it also looks poised for another long signal on trend precognition. Once this A1 slope line crosses this blue dash line, we should see another signal come in here. So I'll be watching for that after the daily close here tonight. Back to the Bitcoin chart. That's not what I wanted to see. That's what I want to see. Back to the Bitcoin chart on the daily, we have, on the weekly, we still have a little bit of thin liquidity zone below us, which is a concern. I want to see liquidity stacking up in here to see enough strength to push above. Let's see what this looks like on the daily. On the daily, pretty thin below, right? Let's add some contrast in the chart to make this a little bit easier to see. There's just not, in my opinion, enough to really sustain this move. We've got 58, looks like 58.5 is where the strongest resistance is above at the moment. And then, of course, if we can get past that, 60K would be important. We might see this start to develop more as we get closer to the weekly close. But this is just not looking as healthy in terms of bid liquidity that I'd like to see. I'd like to see it just stacked here above 55K, but we don't, right? We're just finally starting to see it. When you see a ladder like this extending down, it's now coming down to sub 40K, right? You can see it faintly here, right? Down to 37, 38K. None of this really existed in the past, right? We didn't have hardly anything down here just a week or so, a couple of weeks ago. So nothing changes sentiment like price. And as price has dropped, we've seen this liquidity start to ladder in lower. Perhaps these people are preparing for more of that Mount Gox dump. It's conceivable that we erode further here at this point. At the moment, we have some decent liquidity here at this 53 level, but I'd like to see it. I'd like to see it stacking above. I'd like to see it stacking above 53, above 55 to push price back higher. So that's really what I'm going to be watching for in the charts. The fact that we do have some whale buying here is good, but you can see it's not really robust. It's not major volume at this point. Of course, it's the weekend, so things may not be that strong. And especially with ETF flows, the ETF faucet turned off on the weekend. So that could change Monday, right? Again, if they like buying at 60K and 65K, then they should certainly like buying at 57K or 55K. That's the long and short of it. It's watching liquidity at this point to see if we have enough liquidity to push above the levels in the chart that are the critical ones that we need to reclaim. So it comes down to technical analysis and liquidity at this point. So if you're not watching order book data like fire charts, then you need to be watching the charts to at least identify the technical levels that we need to hold to have a chance to go back and resume the momentum that we were seeing earlier in the year. At the moment, this remains a critical zone to me. The lower low is concerning, in my opinion, and the wick below this concerning. The wick below the moving averages concerning. So it's going to be one level at a time to go back up if we can, right? So even this daily candle is wicked below this lower low. We need to reclaim this box. We need to reclaim this 200-day moving average, and then go after the 21-day moving average, and so on and so forth. It's going to be one level at a time, and it's going to be a grind, in my opinion, unless we get a catalyst that really turns things around, or we suddenly see a large block of liquidity appear here in the order book, which could certainly happen. When it does happen, and we have seen many times in the past where it appears, and it appears rather quickly, right? It appears without notice. You could see, a block like this, 100 million, show up instantly, and that changes things instantly. And like I said at the beginning of this, there's been many times before where we're in these situations where we have large distributions of previously held or seized coins, whether it was the federal government distributing coins, or whether it was the FTX liquidators distributing coins. We had seen bids come in to hold those up. We're not seeing a lot of that here at this point. So I'm anxious to see if that develops, and that's why I'll be continuing to watch fire charts as closely as I can to see how things continue here over the coming days and weeks. On that note, we are actually Material Indicators having a sale on fire charts and really every tool that we make. I will put a link of that in the description, but 25% off right now with the promo code J4th25. J the number 4 TH25. I'll put the link in the description so you guys can take advantage of that. Get 25% off any plan from Material Indicators. Gonna wrap it there for now, guys. If let me just run through these comments really quick. Let's see. Thank you, guys. Thanks, Anthony, for coming in. I appreciate that, Anthony. Paul, yep, we discussed the Mt. Gox. Enzo, 47 is really possible for BTC due to Mt. Gox, and it is. That range. You make a good point, Enzo. Let's look at something on the charts here. So we talked about the areas of prior consolidation here, right? And I do like this 40 to 45K range for a long time. I've been interested in that. There's also maybe we see it on the weekly chart. There's also a bit of discussion about the 48K range because of this confluence right here on on the weekly time frame. So that's certainly conceivable. And with what is it, 9 billion that Mt. Gox is distributing, I think they've already done a little bit. Let's say there's 8 billion left to go, and I'm just throwing out numbers, guys. Don't hold me to the numbers, whatever they are. There's a shit ton of distribution of Bitcoin and BCH, Bitcoin Cash, coming from that Mt. Gox event. And so, yes, it could erode price further. And so, yes, that's why we watch these technical levels, and we watch the order book liquidity to see if there's a chance that this stuff, what the probability is that this stuff holds. And at the moment, I'm not seeing a lot that gives me confidence that the bottom is in, unless we get a retest, right? And a retest of these support levels would change things for me. So it would be the top of this range here, which is 53 is where we bounced from so far. How much liquidity do we have at that level? We've seen that we do have a bit here in that range. Is it enough to hold? So, and what's going to happen between now and then? Are we going to see more come into the range? And that's exactly what I'm looking for, to see if we get more liquidity into that range. Yes. 55 Move says low volume weekends used to allow for a lot of more volatility. Seems to be guardrails in place recently, especially on the downside. Well, there's not really major guardrails in there at the moment, in my opinion. I guess 53 would be the guardrail on the bottom, maybe 50K even at this level. And we're seeing resistance here at 55. So 18 million, that's not a huge number. It's certainly something that could be taken out. Will it be enough? Will we see it taken out today? Remains to be seen. But like I said, I want to see more stacking up in this range. I want to see more stacking above this 53. I want to see more stacking above 55. And if we see it, then I have confidence that we could get this push up. And if we get push above 60, you can see there's not a ton of resistance here in the 65 range. Actually, it's around 64. There's just about 12 million. And then, conceivably, we go back and visit this 70K range. If we could make it up here, I think this would be a huge distribution event, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't see the breakout happening until we see more bid liquidity coming into this direction. And, at this point, with those Mount Gox distributions happening. Now, all of those Mount Gox holders are way, way, way in major profits at this point, right? But they also know where we've been. They also know that it's possible that we could get up to the 70K range. So while there was an initial dump earlier in the week, do those holders want to see price push higher before they distribute? So these are all things that are in question and all things that we're going to watch here over the coming days and weeks. With that, I think I can go ahead and wrap it, guys. Thanks again for the support. I really, really, truly appreciate it. Monday, I'm going to do my best to crank out an analysis, but I do have a previously scheduled medical procedure happening. Minor one, no big deal. Should be fine. Tuesday, supposed to do another. I don't want to jinx us because we've had a hard time getting them the past couple of weeks, but hopefully we'll be able to get that blockchain banner episode in on Tuesday and the anniversary edition of that as well. So hopefully things will continue to be on the up and up, and I'll be able to get back into my normal routine of cranking out these analysis for you daily. But thanks again. Oh, I got a couple more comments in here. Paul saying, from open interest perspective, the recent crash only flushed 30K of BTC on futures. We got at least 100K coming for distribution. Sex reserve is is up even before the actual distribution. Paul says, kind of reminds me of March 2020. Yeah, well, that's what I was saying. When we looked at this prior distribution, it does have similarities. That one was a solid 55% correction. We haven't seen it go that deep yet. It's conceivable that we do. Let's see. Thanks, Enzo. I appreciate the comments. Paul, if you were to short, if I were to short, where would I enter at this point? At this point, I'm watching to see this recovery, right? And so I'm not sure in terms of downside. I think that if we go back and retest this 53 level and lose it, 50K is where I'm wanting to see support at this point. If we lose 50K, then I think that we are inevitably going to push lower, going to push much lower, and that I think is about in line with this level that I showed you here on the RSI. So if we lose this, then I think it's a much deeper correction potentially that could take us to the trend line. So as I said earlier, and I've said a few weeks ago, this, in my opinion, would be the strongest level, the strongest place that we could bounce from in terms of, having a real strong leg up in bull market would be from this 2-year trend line that goes back to the FTX crash back in November of 2022. So that was a 15.5. And so where that trend line puts us, if we were to grind down lower, at the moment, that's at the 40K range, 41K range. Over time, that becomes higher, right? By August, that's up to 45K. And by September, that's up to that 48K level that we looked at. So I'd be watching this very closely. And if liquidity does not appear and we lose that level, if we lose this 50K level, then I think that's when we get to punch that ticket to paradise. All right, guys. With that, I am going to go ahead and wrap it. Thanks again. I really, truly appreciate the support. I know this has been a long-winded analysis, but I've been saving up for you for a couple of weeks, right? I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. I hope you will keep the people that are close to you, the ones you love, hug them, because tomorrow's not promised. And man, whatever you do, don't ever fucking drink and drive. That's what we got Uber. I won't even get on that high horse. I mean, I'm so incredibly lucky that I'm here talking to you today, and grateful for that. Um, please, please, please don't ever do that. Don't get behind the wheel if you're partying. Don't do it. Not worth it. Have a great weekend, my friends. Trade safe. Family first. Numero uno.